thoughts, opinions, and general overall shade thrown on High at 9 News are those of the individual speakers and not those of High at 9 News, its audience, or its advertisers. The statements made do not constitute medical, legal, or financial advice, and for advice tailored to your specific situation, please consult with a licensed professional. Welcome to the High at 9 News Hour, where you will hear from cannabis industry experts and professionals from around the country talk about important topics while shining light on global issues and discussing cannabis as it relates to politics, regulation and reform, data and technology, science, research and medicine, family and parenting, art, celebrities and entertainment, fitness, sports, mental health and wellness, and plant-based medicines and entheogenics. Together, we are building a stronger community, fighting the stigma and creating change. With your host, Jason Beck, joined by special industry expert correspondents from around the country, and daily antics brought to you by Cannabis. Coming to you live every Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific Time and high noon on the East Coast. And thank you all for getting high at 9 with us.
Yeah. Well, I've met enough dumb shits in my life that make me laugh.
That's a great way to start off the show. And good morning. It is Wednesday, August 27th, and today is National Peach Day.
Oh, yay!
Yeah, I knew you were going to do that.
You Georgia girls on Jenny Beth.
Yeah.
Little Georgia Peach.
Mm-hmm. I knew that was coming. It's also National Pots de Creme Day.
Okay.
That's like a dessert kind of thing. National. This is Jenny Beth. This is so you right here.
Watch it not be.
It is National Just Because Day.
Because I said so. Yeah.
See. That's
every mom in the world.
Is it really every mom in the world?
Yeah, absolutely. 100%.
It's certainly me.
At some point, just do it.
Everyone that lives in.
There's a magical age where everything is. Oh yeah, there's a magical age where everything is answered with why, and eventually you're like, just do it, just do it.
Because Jenny Beth, because
I thought it was all the people that live in delusion.
Yeah, that's just a city in Illinois. I don't know what to tell you.
That's dissolution. Oh man, well, thank you all for joining us and getting high at 9 with us. It's also high noon on the East Coast, and please remember to like, share, and subscribe to us on all social media platforms. You can look up above and down below to see exactly where we live on the internet, and we are live every Monday through Friday on YouTube, Rumble, Twitch, X, Instagram, Facebook, Kick, as well as on our very own website at www.highat9news.com. So welcome to everyone joining us from any one of those platforms. And we are kicking this thing off with Miss Jenny Beth Dills. She's the Georgia Peach and America's sweetheart, apparently. Here, coming live from Orange County, it is none other than Miss Jenny Beth Dills.
Yeah, here we go. Okay, so we're going to talk about IP. As federal cannabis reform slowly inches closer, cannabis operators are strategizing to safeguard their intellectual property in a still largely illegal market. Because cannabis remains a Schedule I substance under federal law, obtaining national trademarks for cannabis-related products is off the table. Instead, many brands turn to state-level protections or register trademarks for non-cannabis items like apparel, for example, cookies. Companies such as Sun Theory, best known for dialed-in gummies, are registering trademarks in every state where they operate while also protecting their unique recipes and business strategies through trade secrets. I know something about their business, and I don't think they should probably have much to add, but okay. Intellectual property in the cannabis space. Just saying. Intellectual property in the cannabis space is multifaceted. Patents shield innovations in cultivation and manufacturing. Trademarks help establish brand identity. Though often via indirect routes due to federal constraints. Trade secrets safeguard international know-how and copyright protections, create assets like logos and packaging design, and an option fully available regardless of cannabis's federal status. For many brands, federal legalization would be a game changer. It would unlock national trademark protection, a significant advantage. Some operators are currently using hemp-based products or apparel brands as workarounds to secure federal marks. Even if cannabis is rescheduled, challenges could remain. The U.S. Patent and Trademark Office still requires that products be lawful, and their classification systems lack proper entries for cannabis or hemp items. That's why some, such as Dispensary Harborside, focus on securing trademarks for educational or informational services. So yeah, rather than the cannabis brand itself. In the meantime, operators are taking no chances, clinching state trademarks, leveraging ancillary products for federal protection, and investing in trade secret strategies. As one attorney puts it, it's preparing for federal legalization like it's training for a race. You want to be ready when that starting gun goes off. So, yes and no. So we'll talk about the 9/11 patent again really quickly, because I went outside the scope of my article because the article is missing some of the facts. So maybe they should do the research on what's happened before. So U.S. patent number 9730911 issued on August 15th, 2017. We lovingly call that our 9/11 patent. I worked with UCAN when this happened. It's titled Cannabis Extracts and Methods of Preparing and Using the Same. The patent covers specific liquid cannabinoid formulations, not tactics of extraction. Importantly, it claims compositions where at least 95% of the total cannabinoids are specific compounds such as CBD, THC, or a combination thereof, and may include terpenes and flavonoids. So although, yes, this was a CBD company that did this, this is not just a hemp-specific patent. This was a formulary patent that covered the aqueous suspension of cannabinoids. In 2018, UCAN sued Pure Hemp Collective, alleging infringement on the patent. Pure Hemp responded with an early motion for partial summary judgment, arguing that the patent claims covered naturally occurring cannabinoids and were therefore patent ineligible. However, shout out to Judge William Martinez, because April 17th, 2019, big day, William Martinez denied Pure Hemp's motion. He held that the claimed formulations were not directed to patent ineligible natural phenomena because the patent is for a man-made liquid formulation with cannabinoids at non-naturally occurring proportions and concentrations. So what that means is that this passed the Alice test. The Alice test is what decides if your patent is eligible to be enforced or not. This is a cannabinoid-based patent that did pass that. So while they're sitting here and saying, oh, well, we can't, actually patent cannabis, you can, and we did. So throwing that out there, really cool to be able to be a part of that team. I was not on the science side, but hey, really cool company to be a part of, really cool thing to be able to experience in my career. And this is going to be interesting as we move towards some patent wars. That's why I warned people against sending their stuff into tissue culture labs, because why? They can patent your genetics and you can't. But all right, I'll throw it back to you guys.
Well, man, the IP thing, it really trips me out. I mean, I wonder if by going to Schedule 3 people, I imagine that they probably will have pretty much the same lack amount of protections that they have now. I don't think that's really going to change that much, except for maybe a couple of companies that will be able to go through a FDA process. But this is, people are really screwed with all of their intellectual property that they create when they're in the cannabis space. It's very difficult to protect. And one of the other parts of it is the cannabis industry really doesn't really respect IP law in the first place, because if you look at a number of the brands, they're all copycats of other brands. And so It's kind of like FAFO, and you know what I mean? Like no wonder no one takes us seriously, is because look at what we project on ourselves constantly.
Well, not to mention cannabis rips off candy brands and cereal companies and all of that.
That's what I'm talking about. Yeah, exactly, Chris. This is, we take everyone's IP and want to act like all of a sudden we're parodying it. You know what I mean? But really, that's not the case. We're just straight jacking.
Well, I mean, it can be done, and we can patent things, and that was why, Big Pharma's already tried. GW Pharmaceuticals, who's now been taken in by Jazz Pharmaceuticals, is the one who had the initial patent, and then the 9/11 patent came on and kind of bulldozed that and encompassed there. So 95% or higher, anything derived thereof. Theirs was 90% or lower. So we encompassed that. So if you don't hit with extraction efficiency and with breaking down the way you reverse engineer these substances, if you don't hit that with one of your products, your product, one, probably isn't going to work, and two, I don't know what you're doing over there. But so that was kind of the cannabis industry fighting back against Big Pharma, who was trying to come in early and secure those patents, which is why we were talking so heavily about federal legalization then, because he was lobbying for it at that time, Big Pharma, because they thought that they held the keys to the kingdom.
Still a very much unsettled area of the law. Just to be blunt, This is very mushy on all sides. When I bring a client in who has any desire for IP, I bring in an IP attorney from the gate because trademarks are easier to protect than patents in this industry right now. I mean, Jenny Beth, you talked about one where there was a patented aqueous formula that they allowed to stand. That has not been taken up through the appeals process in the Supreme Court to see, because it's still very mushy. And our concern has always been that they're going to take your genetics and they're going to put some little tag on it, which is what
a marker
pharmaceutical companies have to do. And then, oh, that's mine now, when it really doesn't change anything with how that's expressed genetically. It's just now I put a little tag on it. You can't use this anymore. That's where the wars begin. And if it goes to Schedule 3, there are going to be more formulations that they're going to take cannabinoids and put them together with other pharmaceuticals, if you will. And they're going to want to protect those formulations through patent protections. And we can all guess and speculate what that might be. I just don't know. It's going to be either the Lawyers Full Employment Act. If we get to a point where it's federally legal somehow, then take your trademarks nationally. That's going to be a mess. And then trying to patent this stuff is going to be a mess. And right now, good luck in anticipating what that's actually going to be, because I don't know. I don't think anybody can tell you for sure.
For growers, this already exists in other industries. If you look at tomatoes, berries, anything, the growers are kind of just a secondary consumer. They're buying seeds that they don't own the proprietary rights to. This, unfortunately, very common in the world of ag. And, I know guys that are working for big MSOs right now that are trialing a couple different company seeds. Phylos comes to mind. They have a bunch of stuff right now. And, like Jenny said, 5-10 years ago, everybody was handing them their cuts for, genome mapping. And then now they have, they have their proprietary seeds. To my knowledge, there's nothing in there that is patentable just yet. Of course, rescheduling is going to change that. But you can damn sure bet they have their genetic markers in there. And they're enforcing it through contract law, because you're signing a contract where you're agreeing that you're not going to clone or make further seeds out of their genetics. So if that were ever to come to question and they gene map whatever you're growing and one of their markers come up, you're getting sued under contract law. You don't have to have a patent directly for the plant right now.
It's kind of
and all of that is related directly to testing, right? They're testing requirements for different stages of cultivation, and all of that testing through an analytical facility. There's one that I worked with in NorCal that I would not recommend, but they do a lot of that, and so to help people kind of come up with those genetic markers so that they can protect that IP. I would caution anybody, like I said before, and like I said when this first started, don't send all your shit to TC Labs, because they're definitely going to have a little bit easier time of claiming your genetics than you would. So,
Well, Shaun, what were you going to say, Shaun?
Y'all really hit it on the head. I mean, it touches ag, but I think the big thing is rescheduling might disrupt all of this, because then it's going to give a leg up to those in medical cannabis who are thinking forward and more aligned with the healthcare system, as well as the big pharmaceutical companies. It's going to open that gate. So we'll see what happens.
Yep. All of a sudden, the pharmaceutical company is going to become agriculture companies with the patents like what Cargill and Monsanto and whatnot have on genetic markers of genetics for, corn and all of these other different crops that we all consume on a regular basis that are all GMO. And, that's going to kind of be the way the cookie crumbles, I think, ultimately.
They can do that because they have created these unique genetics by altering the genome. If you're not directly altering the cannabis genome or messing around with it in that way, then I question, because at the end of it, I also want to come back to people's right to have access to these seeds, these genetics, these things that we would have otherwise had growing in biodiversity. There has to be like a balance between business and equal access and protecting genetics, because businesses often get tunnel vision and then they destroy the genetics. They can end up destroying entire crops.
You're thinking a little too Pollyannish. I'm sorry. Once these big corporations get their hands on these genetics and they mark them, these motherfuckers will go after you. Everything in their toolbox. You go talk to farmers in the Midwest. They can't have all and leave their seeds.
Exactly.
I mean, leave their fields. These son of a bitches will take it over, okay? And then they'll sue you for the smallest infractions. And that's what I think most of us are concerned for. Right now, you can't patent natural genetics. It's not allowed. Okay. So they do the, let's add a little tag here or there. You guys know the marker thing.
The marker,
and
yeah.
then they viciously protect those things.
Mm-hmm.
And when you put IP protections into contracts, I mean, that's all well and good, but you find out the reality, you get some son of a bitch in the R&D department who sneaks the shit out, and then he leaves. And, the protections inside these companies for IP rights are not all that good. Contracts will work. Yeah, you can get compensated. But patent protection is an extra level of a stick to beat somebody over the head. Because if you're violating my patent rights or my trademark rights, my IP rights that are federally protected, it's a boost to your contract. Because contracts, I mean, the lawyers love them because we love to sue the shit out of everybody. But when you're talking about dumping multiple six figures into a lawsuit on both sides that are not generally protected by insurance, I mean, it's an unfair fight. Really is.
And Dale, I think you could, what I'm saying, opine on this a little bit, but the reality is that these patents and your trademarks and everything like that, they're only as good as honestly the paper that they're printed on, because they're only going to be as strong as whatever capital you have to back them up in enforcing them. I've seen a number of companies have this types of things. Then you go to like a Champs trade show or stuff, and you see people that have created their different products or whatnot. You know what I mean, against their patent, and it's like and the originator of the IP is kind of like, I'm kind of screwed because I don't have enough money to actually fight to stop these guys. And so like, what do? Do I just focus on building more of my brand, or do I actually try to go after these guys? Because even after I go after one, 10 more will pop up.
Well, and that's the heartbreaking discussions I've had more times I can remember. Where you said, "Yeah, you got a good case, but here's my litigation budget."
Yep,
it's
exactly.
$250,000.
Yep,
and they just shit a brick. It's like I can't afford that. Well, I'm sorry, that's what it's going to take, and that's why big corporations, when they get their hands on this, they have an advantage from the average person who's got genetics they've been hanging on to for a hell of a long time. I mean, I was contacted by somebody who was a smuggler back in the 60s. He kept seeds from everything. Okay. These were landrays from back in the 60s and early 70s. And I just had to be honest with you. I said, as soon as you put these out, you've lost them. There really is no way to protect them, because you can't trust anybody that's in these cultivation operations. And I've been part of the industry for a long time, but we're very disagreeable. We don't like rules. We will steal your shit in a heartbeat.
Yep.
Hey, we're like IP people from China. Oh, we get a chance, we're fucking stealing it. Okay. They'll do pheno hunts and take the best for themselves. It's hard to stop it. And this guy decided, I'm not letting my genetics out there. And I couldn't blame him. I mean, unless you got $1 million to have attorneys on top of this all the time, which big corporations do, you're shit out of luck when this starts to leak into the industry. It's just hard to explain to people, but it's the way it's working right now.
Yep. And enjoy your little packaging and your logo patent when you send your packaging out to China to be made, because the second you send those over there, your images are done too.
Oh, yeah.
If you're in Chinatown and downtown LA, they can buy them for a penny.
And on that. Go ahead.
What's the end
Chris.
result of all this?
What's the end result?
More bland mids, basically. You know, I mean, before big tobacco got a hold of tobacco plants, we had over 30 different tobacco varieties 100-something years ago. Now there's about 5 different varieties that are grown for their environment, not for their quality, not for their nuances or anything like that. And unfortunately, 90% of cannabis is probably going to end down that same road.
Fair.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to allude to. It's not that I don't believe, Dale, that you're spot on with all of the litigation that will follow, but that maybe we need to systematically relook at this, because if we're doing it with our food crops and we lose, like I was saying, you can lose a whole crop to a genetic blight. Cannabis, y'all know this. You can't get that much tunnel vision. We need to look further ahead as far as the legislature and regulators go and kind of plan for the future. But I don't know if we do that at all. I don't know if we're into family planning in this country, but
we're not.
Fair enough.
And that's a big problem. If we could get, say, descheduling without any of the other patent protections and things like that, and it's going to be off to the races for the people with the most money to be able to protect this stuff. And you're right, Chris, we're going to end up with a minimum amount. Now, fortunately for us in the industry, you can still go around the world and find land-raised strains and bring them back. But as soon as you bring them back and you put them in the marketplace, boom, they're lost.
Yep, you're so right.
And I've seen no appetite on the part of our federal government to want to help our industry one goddamn bit.
You're so right about that. And on that, we're going to roll into our first commercial, and we're going to be right back because they're going to help us out. And we are back, you guys, catering to customers, custies.
Yeah, someone who never caters to customers, the head honcho of the High at 9 News.
I cater to all the custies.
The highest Republican,
They love
Jason
me.
Beck.
Custies love me, Jenny Beth. I don't understand why you're such a hater in the mornings, but it's okay. It's all right. Well, I have some good news today, you guys, and I decided to put this story instead of making it the last story of the day because I just think this story is so phenomenally great. Because there was a study, Jenny Beth, and contrary to what all you naysayers say out there, there's no significant change in car accidents following cannabis legalization in the state of Connecticut, you guys. That's right. A new peer-reviewed study has found that Connecticut's move to legalize adult-use cannabis in 2023 did not lead to an increase in car accidents, either across the state or in neighborhoods surrounding dispensaries. Published in Cannabis and Cannabinoid Research and made available online by the U.S. National Library of Medicine, the research adds to the growing body of evidence examining the real-world impacts of legalization on road safety. Researchers from the University of Alberta, Yale University School of Medicine, and Loma Linda University analyzed crash data from Connecticut and Maryland for 24-week periods before and after legalization. The results showed no statistically significant impact on overall accident rates, even after accounting for seasonal trends and other factors. Locally, the team also looked at accident patterns within 800 meters of 13 dispensaries, comparing 8 weeks before and after their openings. That analysis likewise found no meaningful change in collision rates, and in a quote, "In the statewide analysis comparing Connecticut with Maryland over two 24-week periods before and after RCL in Connecticut, no significant effect on MVAs was found after adjusting for auto correlation and seasonal variations. Interaction term coefficient equaled minus 0.0391. P equals 0.0696. States the study. In the local analysis, because that just makes total sense, right? Everyone understands what that means. States the study, and in the local analysis examining accident rates within an 800-meter radius of 13 dispensaries over 8 weeks before and after their openings, the negative binormal mixed effects model showed no significant change with an incidence ratio of 1.10. That's basically 95% confidence interval of 0.74-1.64. P equals 0.63, you guys. Researchers concluded by saying that these findings suggest that cannabis legalization and dispensary openings did not significantly impact motor vehicle accident rates during the study period. Let me read that again for all the naysayers out there. These findings suggest that cannabis legalization and dispensary openings did not significantly impact motor vehicle accident rates during the study period. Well, I can't wait to see what you guys are going to drive off with this one.
I mean, didn't Max Montrose prove this like over 10 years ago by like smoking 2 joints and then getting in the car and smoking 2 more joints? And he did a whole thing. I want to say it was like 2015 or earlier. I mean, personally, I think I've gotten into more accidents when I was stone cold sober on my way to get weed than I did, while I was actually stoned, because you're more patient when you're stoned. You're like, I'll just wait at this red light. It's cool.
You're more aware, and you're probably even more paranoid. Like, oh man, I don't want to. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to get into an accident while I'm faded. Let me just use some extra caution.
I like how they use dispensary openings, which really doesn't mean anything. I mean, it's not like you're just ripped stone when you leave the dispensary.
I think that's a fair analysis, because a lot of people, when there's new dispensaries, brand new, you get a lot of these brand new people that are just trying cannabis out for the first time, and I think there's a high ratio of people that are going to want to consume it as soon as they get in the car because of their excitement level of the thrill of just going into a store and buying it. So I think that's a fair data point right there.
Surprised, because most new consumers are like middle-aged moms. What we're seeing coming into the retail storefronts isn't always like someone who's looking to get blitzed. It's like a group of girls who's excited about, we're going to try cannabis for the first time, and they're saving it for later for whatever their fun nighttime event is. I don't know.
Hold on a second. You're telling me that girls save it for later?
Yeah, not everybody is trying to get ripped off.
I'm just saying. That's total malarkey. Total malarkey, Shaun.
Man, I walked into that one.
Yeah, you did.
I think most new consumers are definitely a little more safe about their consumption, because it tends to be an older demographic that's starting to come around the corner. Millennials, we were smoking weed in high school. Come on. But like everybody else, the newer consumers who aren't accustomed to it, they're taking their time for the most part. There's only a handful of people who are interested in that kind of lifestyle where you're just getting ripped off all the time. Like alcohol sales are down. People just want a better quality of life.
Look, Shaun.
Well, the problem is we keep trying to defend something that the other side has no evidence to prove. Okay. It's like there is no statistical or empirical evidence out there smoking cannabis makes you a bad driver. You certainly can use enough cannabis to be a bad driver. And if you're that fucking stupid, you deserve it to be in jail. Okay? When you look at alcohol, there is no question it's a hazard for you to use. It's a hazard for people on the highway. When you smoke weed, we keep trying to defend with studies like this. And what are we defending? I want the other side to bring forth the evidence that cannabis actually causes an increased hazard on the road. You can be asleep and find it for alcohol. Okay. This is more like the warnings they give you with prescription drugs. Don't drive until you know what the effects are going to be on you. Okay? And I'm just tired of defending something that they can't prove. They start from the assumption, cannabis has got to be dangerous. Says who? Okay, show me some evidence here. Okay, I'm an attorney. I like proof. You're just blowing smoke up my ass, okay? And we're like, we got to keep defending this. No, people have been smoking weed since the 60s.
Yep.
In pretty high volumes.
High volumes, exactly, Dale.
Go back to Cheech and Chong. Before any of this stuff, you laugh. Okay, I'm stoned as a bone, and you're driving along playing music, and you're going slow, and you're not cutting through traffic and flipping people off and being a hazard. That's what we that smoke weed understand. Okay? I'm just tired of having to defend something that there's no proof for their side. They're just starting from the assumption, it's got to be bad. It's bad for the people on the highway. Yeah, fuck you. Bullshit. Bring forth your evidence and prove it. But that's not the world we live in. People still have this, my mama said it's bad. if you say something negative about it, it's got to be, well, prove it. There's nothing out there to prove it. Then HTSA is not saying, oh, smoking weed's going to end up with another 100,000 people dead every month on the highways.
Yep.
We're not saying that. Cops aren't saying that. At least the beat cops aren't, because they know it's not true. It's the fucking drunks you got to be careful of, because alcohol removes your inhibitions and also tamps down your ability for fine motor skills. What a combo for being a fucking danger on the highway.
Exactly. I couldn't agree with you more on that.
You bring up a really valid point, is when I'm consuming this as a medical patient and it doesn't have that effect on me, how do we distinguish between when I've consumed medical cannabis or THCA hemp?
It's all the same thing, Shaun. It's all the same thing. There's no difference.
Medical patients, you erroneously criminalize them for consuming what is there to.
They criminalize everybody. They criminalize everyone. Yeah. There's no. Oh, you're going to jail and you're not because of whatever. No. I'm not buying that. They criminalize everybody. Stop it. One thing.
Because medical patients, we don't criminalize them for taking their prescription Xanax and driving. We have to have an actual impairment test.
I will say this: the one thing that I have witnessed, and I've witnessed this a number of times with law enforcement, is that if you are truly like extremely sick, and if they arrest you, they're going to have to administer special treatments and take you to appointments and different things like that. They will generally not arrest you because they don't want to have that liability and have to put that burden onto the state, onto the judicial system, to have to take you back and forth to the hospital. Like I've witnessed this with people that are on dialysis. They have a much lower rate of getting arrested because they don't want to. The state doesn't want to ultimately be responsible for having to take you to get your oil changed every week.
Yeah, if it goes to trial, no jury wants to convict a truly sick person.
Yep.
So they know that they're probably going to be on the losing end of that if that person pushes it. And if it does go to trial and the person's acquitted, that could set precedent for future cases. So they'd rather just not even pursue that.
You know, I saw.
It's another example of having laws in the books you can't enforce and really don't serve a useful purpose. I mean, if there was evidence out there that smoking weed caused carnage on the highway, I mean, you should go to jail, okay? But that's not there. And when you take or a benzo or something like that, like Ativan or Xanax for anxiety, they tell you, hey, don't drive until you know how this affects you, because they know it doesn't have the direct correlation to every shot I take makes me more dangerous on the highway. They don't have the correlation. But getting rid of these laws on the books is goddamn near impossible.
And if it did, you'd have companies like Geico and Allstate would be dumping this data on us because the automobile insurance industry has better stats than anybody on this. And they know every little thing, the distance you drive every day to work and back, and they can correlate all of that to do a risk assessment for your policies. And if cannabis was even mildly at question, they would already have had the data on it, and we'd be reading these articles from a different point of view coming out of Geico and these insurance companies, and they don't have it.
Well, they do have one AAA article that they like to recycle, but what they fail, and because Senator Perry has cited it several times in legislation, but we continuously point out that AAA article does not distinguish between cannabis use combined with alcohol. And so the accidents are still actually, it's alcohol. So they use those numbers to say that there is an increase in accidents per the AAA report in legal states, but fail to mention that that's cannabis combined with alcohol.
I always tip a nug to my AAA tow truck driver, and they really appreciate it. So
see, look at that. They don't even have AAA out there in Florida.
It's what is it, the Road Rangers or something?
Yeah. I had a flat tire one time on the roadway. I did have to call AAA, and then they called the whatever
I got
they
picked
are
up
out there in
here
Florida.
in Florida by a tow truck with two guys that had dreadlocks, and I just sparked up a doobie in the tow truck, and they were like, "Hell yeah!"
And
I do have a question though about tendency for prosecution, because I do think it is a little bit naive of us to think that prosecutors might not pick up cases, because in some counties and with some folks, they are going to arbitrarily arrest and then try to use as much as they can if they have THC, the presence of THC. Even if at the end they don't win, it doesn't mean that they won't tangle you up or ruin your life for a good bit. So I still have like my apprehensions around dismissing the level of interest that some prosecutors have, especially in spaces where we still have, bias policing.
We know that, criminality doesn't imply impairment or ability to drive. I mean, anybody that's been in cannabis long enough, we've all been painted as criminals over and over again, or morally bad people. And, we know that's not the truth.
I'm just more thinking of our consumer.
They're very difficult proof problems, guys, because every cop now is wearing a camera.
Yep.
Okay. And so if you're taking video of someone's field sobriety test and they pass it, you go, yeah, but they had THC in their system and they used to use these stupid 5 nanograms, stuff like that.
Bullshit.
You've got the video. It shows, hey, this person was able to pass your test. Okay. Now, are you really going to go forward with that? When you're drinking, I mean, you got a video of someone who's been drinking. Good luck, because you don't pass those field sobriety tests under the influence of alcohol like you do under the influence of cannabis. So it's a difficult proof problem, and it's they can charge you. Even the public defenders can get these cases to go away for nothing more than, say, a reckless that doesn't go on your record and it deferred adjudication and it goes away in a year, whatever. That's how we typically get these things to go away, because the DA knows I can't fucking prove this, and the juries are like, I don't see anything there. You're telling us they're a bad driver. There's the video. Watch it.
Dale, did you ever see that show? I think it was Reno 911, where the chick did the stop, and then she starts asking the guy to do the test, and he starts walking and passes pretty good, and then she starts to make him like do a dance, and he does like a whole dance, and then like almost like a whole turnaround flip type of thing, and it was. Yeah, that to me is the best. That to me is basically, because those tests actually have no basis to demonstrate sobriety. It's just total bullshit that they get people to just do, and get to play puppeteer basically with them. But
well, but if that video exists, and you sit down with the prosecutor and say, look, I'm going to kick your fucking ass if you put this in front of a jury. What the hell do you think you're doing? Get this to go away.
You're right about that.
We don't want to work hard.
At the end, she asks him, how many drinks have you had, after he does the whole jig? He's like, about 6. So there you go. Best thing if you shut the fuck up. Don't snitch on yourself.
Absolutely.
Don't snitch on yourself. Exactly. And Dale, we're gonna roll into you, but I found a meme yesterday that I think you would really, really appreciate. You know what this says, Dale? It says, "Don't piss off old people. The older we get, the less life in prison is a deterrent."
Damn straight. Ever heard of an honor killing?
What's that?
I know of a couple. You ever heard of an honor killing?
Yep.
I know of a couple.
Yep. And we're going to roll it right on into Dale Schafer. Dale has been an attorney since the Reagan administration. He has represented physicians, hospitals, insurance companies, cops, corrections officers, and for the last 25 years, he has specialized in cannabis law. He served a 5-year federal prison sentence for helping medical marijuana patients and managed to save his law license. He's blunt. He doesn't smoke them because they're ratchet, nasty. They make your teeth stain and all kinds of other stuff stain. But he's honest and he's unconcerned with your opinion, public opinions, and everyone else's opinion for that matter, and he will show you how he can defy gravity by pissing up a rope. That's right, it is your favorite Tio Loco, and you can now find him at his own law office at the law office of none other than Dale Schafer.
Hi, good morning. It is your favorite Tio Loco, and for you, Jen, your favorite Bullshiticus.
Yeah.
Here we go again. I was reading through some articles yesterday. I came across one from MJ Biz Daily. It's done by the MJ Biz Daily staff, whatever that means. Very short. And the more I thought about it, the more I thought, I think this is something to talk about. The headline is California recalls contaminated marijuana vape cartridges. And you go, yeah, yawn. Okay. We've been doing a lot of this here in California. But as I took a look at this, turns out that these products started being sold a year ago. Okay? And they're being voluntarily recalled, which means that the company went to the DCC and said, we got a problem here. Let's do a voluntary recall. It wasn't that the DCC or our cannabis group found it and made them do it. And they went to them, and after being on the market for a year, something happened to bring to their attention that, holy shit, we got pesticide contamination in this. Okay? Now, that is where they are right now, but you start backing up a little bit and you think, okay, why do we have this on the marketplace? We're supposed to have a COA, testing, certificate of analysis. Brain fart this morning. Okay. We're supposed to have a COA that says you're clean. You put it on the marketplace. A year later, they go, well, kind of, we got pesticides in it. How did that happen? Okay. If you got a crop contaminated with pesticides and a clean COA, the system is fucked up. How can you have that? Okay. Now, that was one of the first questions I had. And of course, anybody who operates here in California knows that our computer tracking system is bullshit. It is so fucked up. I don't know how you got to have secondary systems to monitor it, as the state doesn't seem to be able to. How did this get out there in the marketplace, pesticide contaminated? Okay, that's the big question I have. Certainly, it needs to be off the marketplace if it's got those contaminants. Now, what I can tell you is I've represented every part of the industry except for testing labs. I don't know. I mean, I chemistry through organic. I understand the stuff. I just never had them. But from cultivation through retail, I've had meetings with my clients as we start setting the businesses up. It's called risk management. They're going to test it, and it stops it from going to the marketplace. You better make sure you don't have products coming into your facility or leaving your facility that aren't going to pass the test. Okay? So imagine that you're sitting in a distribution or manufacturing initial meeting. Okay, how do we stop these contaminants from getting in? First of all, you got to make sure there's R&D testing as it's either leaving your facility or coming in. If you're going to be doing vape cartridges, you're taking a lot of bulk in. You got to make sure that shit is not contaminated from the cultivator. Okay? Because if you got pesticides in it, that didn't come from manufacturing. That came from cultivation. Okay? How did this stuff get pesticides on it and get through all the way onto the marketplace? That's a failure of your risk management analysis before you even get started. Now, I put into my contracts indemnification. If somehow something dirty gets in, okay, and it costs me a lot of money, I'm going back to the source of it, and you're going to hold me harmless and indemnify me. I want insurance in place. I want to have my clients be additionally insured so they have first-party rights, not third-party rights to contracts. But if you're not planning of what you're going to do with the recall and try to prevent them, then folks, you got your head up your ass, because this is an example of how you can lose your business because you didn't sit down and be conscientious enough, gather people around you enough experience to look for how can we get in trouble and how do we mitigate that before we're in trouble. Because if you're a cultivator and you're not doing R&D testing of your crops leaving, you're putting yourself in a bad position, okay? If you're a manufacturer bringing in bulk and you're not demanding R&D testing, you're going to get yourself in some serious trouble, because every batch should be tested and you can follow it through the entire system. That's one of the failures in our stupid computer system here, but it can happen. The company needs to take responsibility from the gate to not let this happen, because California has unfair business practices laws. You can have consumers sue you for this stuff too. And they mentioned in there that if you're feeling sick, go to your doctor and tell them you may have been contaminated. If you're feeling sick, you better bend over and lube up. Because if you got people in the public out there that are being sickened from pesticides because you fucked up and didn't test it and got it on the marketplace, they're going to sue your ass. And you better have insurance in place. Another part of the picture here. Okay? So if you're in this industry and you haven't had these kinds of risk management assessments, build them into your contracts, into your SOPs, into your management thinking, you're going to end up like these companies are right here. They're going to lose their ass. Anybody gets sick, they're going to get sued for it. And this is going to be a disaster. So I'll try to keep my eye on this as it goes forward. This is just an opportunity to enlighten businesses out there. Think about things like this. Mitigate your risk. Build them in your contracts. Have insurance. Make sure you cover yourself with belts and suspenders, because this could kill your business. And then your shareholders are going to be real unhappy with you. I'm going to throw it back at you. What do you guys think?
Yeah, as a cultivator, I mean, that's something, you know, I deal with and see every day. Just looking at it, you know, real quick, it was actually, I mean, the article labels it as a pesticide, but it is a PGR used to increase yield and reduce flower period. So, you know, it comes back down to greed, to a constricted market, everyone trying to get ahead of each other. And a lot of times these show up in extracts because the extracts are not single sourced. They're not being produced by the growers. It's, you know, some extract vape cart company that's just buying a bunch of bulk product from whoever on the market, and they're not doing their own quality control on their intake side. And you know, what's really unfortunate is it's a voluntary recall, and that's all they're doing. They should be finding these guys. They should be absolutely, you know, tracing it back, forcing them to destroy it, especially with how much product is on the market. You know, clear the market out for the guys that are trying to do things the right way and producing clean product, rather than you know, a voluntary recall. Yeah, I guess if you have it, just throw it away if you want. We're just letting you know. Kind of ridiculous, but yeah, that's just kind of my analysis on it.
Well, I mean, the voluntary recall still pulls all the product back, right? So it's still like, it's just the company saying, "Hey, oh shit," as opposed to, you know. But I think that the issue here is, excuse me, my eyelashes. I'm just falling my lash. It's crazy.
Oh boy.
I think that the issue here is that it's something that will test safely in flower, does not test safe when it's concentrated. That increases the levels. You're not just concentrating the cannabinoids or whatever else you have. You're concentrating everything that you have in that particular sample. It also comes down to, are you doing a remediation batch? Are you cleaning your machines properly after every batch? Are you doing, because, I mean, you know, nobody really wants to take the time in their facility to clean their machines after every run, but you probably fucking should.
Yeah, clean your mother liquor.
There are a lot of things that this boils down to, opposed to just like matching up batches and mishing things together. And we found enough trim for this run, but we had to buy it from 15 different sources because trim's hard to find right now. So looking at that and looking at your best practices, if you don't understand how to properly source product, call me. I can teach you how to do that too. Because as an extractor, you need to know for shit sure, that it's going to pass at a concentrate level, not just at the flower, not just you have a COA on the flower that the trim came from or whatever it might be, because there are tons of issues that come up when you're doing all that.
Yeah, my family comes from the dairy industry, okay? And before something's allowed in the dairy, it's tested. They don't unload the truck until they test on site because they've had enough trouble with things like this. They build into their SOPs, come in, we're going to do the test on site for those things that get us in the most trouble. And when it leaves, they do testing. So, I mean, I've had these discussions, and even though you tell them, and the notes all reflect, we had a board meeting, we talked about this, we set up the contracts. You know, when your push comes down to shove and you got to get product out the door, you cut corners. And you're right, Chris. I hope someone gets their license suspended or revoked. How is there a COA for these carts when there's this product found in the marketplace? That's a big problem for that testing lab, okay, or for the procedures they use. How would you pull out, if you're going to defend yourself, randomly pull out samples that tested negative and the stuff out in the marketplace is positive? That's a problem with fucking testing methodology. But all of these are problems that can be prevented if you put together the plan to mitigate your risk. But as you know, Jenny, when people start I need product, I got stuff, I need, you start cutting corners, it comes in. And now this is out there. And I'm not impressed with the DCC. They either come in with a sledgehammer and shut you down, or they whack their pee-pee for a year and then decide, well, maybe we should. No, have a fucking process that protects the public.
Mm-hmm. Well, there's also this little thing called inversion, and that's a lot of times what you're seeing with this, right? You're not seeing the fact that, oh, oops, well, you know, the actual product that was run tested clean, but then they brought in 6 more liters and made more and added to that batch. So that's the tough part, and that's the part where a lot of people are seeing stuff like this happen, and where a lot of companies are getting in trouble right now.
You know,
and you should have your license suspended immediately.
Mm-hmm.
You're doing that. From my own point of view, all this stuff is a misdemeanor soaking wet in the criminal system.
Mm-hmm.
If you blackballed people for doing this kind of stuff, maybe you get it to stop. I don't know. Okay. The problem is the market is just so higgledy-piggledy right now. The black market's kicking their ass. So how do you compete? Sometimes you have to go play with the black market. Then you get shit in your system that's bad because it was never tested. You go, oops, yeah, I kind of brought it in from the black. Yeah, well, okay, maybe you're done in the industry. I don't know. There's got to be something that's more targeted, because the DCC either comes in with a sledgehammer or doesn't seem to do nearly enough.
Right.
Someone in the comments is saying they might not test for PGR residuals.
That's Dr. Mark. That's Dr. Mark Sheldon. He's on Fridays. Yeah, he's a very smart guy when it comes to this.
So if they're not testing for it, then there's like another level of business acumen that needs to be developed as the industry expands and grows, hopefully. And that's being a good business partner and practicing good diligence, because now when we have these contaminated products, it's not that folks are looking at the contamination as causing DHS or other adverse effects. They're labeling the entire plant, the entire industry as causing these adverse effects, and you're just kind of fucking it up for everybody else. And your product it's not likely to be as good on the back end. So you're just like in the race to mids. Don't do that, especially if you're investing in something like vapes, which are under so much scrutiny right now. Be good, practice good GMP. Just do better, be better. And then the industry needs to practice a bit more. Like the fear of scarcity stuff is what leads us to do a lot of cutting corners and shortcuts. And at the end of the day, that is the fastest road to hell. Like, take your time, do things right. Sometimes it hurts. That's part of the process. Like, but it's always good to do it right. That's basic shit.
And Dr. Mark
that's great until you can't pay your bills. And that's where a lot of my clients, they come in and we take a look at a shit sandwich. Everybody owes you money. You can't pay your bills. You need to get orders out. And how do you do that? Okay. You
scale too.
Cross lines. Okay. They got to pay their bills. And they come in and I got a shit sandwich. I got caught doing something. Okay. That's a little too late. The horse has left the barn. You should have these discussions earlier. But in a struggling market, you get people doing what they feel they need to do to survive. And never forget that if you're creating something you're going to take into your gut and it's going to be digested, it can handle a lot more. And breathing shit into your lungs. I mean, this is the problem I have with putting that acetate, that vitamin B acid, whatever the fuck that stuff was.
Vitamin E acetate.
Yeah. And then you start looking, well, people are getting sick and dying. Well, it says it's scientifically provable. Yeah, not to fucking smoke, asshole.
Well, that's just like skin. That's like with the pesticides. You know, people are like, oh, it says that it's safe to apply on plants, and you know what I mean. Those plants aren't for the purpose of smoking, you dipshit. Like, come on, you guys. And on that, we got to keep this train rolling. We're going to roll into our next commercial, and we are going to be right back.
Every legend has a humble beginning.
In world news, leaders are gathering today for the annual summit.
I want to tell you something, Che. The government is watching us through the television.
Oh, John.
Look, right there. They're trying to hack into my TV box.
We're still not able to hack into the TV box, sir.
Ha! but they can't. I've rebuilt the entire electronic system, and it sends and receives signals through quantum phase space. They'll never get in. Engage target.
In other news, local authorities are investigating a series of strange atmospheric phenomena reported by residents.
Ma'am, we're with the federal government. We need to ask you some questions.
John?
Is there a problem? We've been trying to penetrate your TV box for over 6 months. I told you they were trying to watch us through the TV, but you didn't believe me. We can't get in, and to be frank, we have no idea what you've created. Yeah, that's the point. It's called privacy. You know what the Fourth Amendment guarantees? All we know is that we can't get inside. We want to know if you can create one for us.
QUX. Even the government wants one.
And we are back. Stop whatever you're doing. Make sure you smash that like button. I know we'll appreciate it. You'll appreciate it. And YouTube will appreciate it. Also, make sure you subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed already. And all of the articles that we cover on today's show, you can read directly on our website at www.highat9news.com. And make sure you go into the link in our description of this video, and you can check out all the sponsors that help make this show possible every day. And make sure that you use the link to order yourself a can of Liberal Tears. 150 milligrams of every can of caffeine, 0 sugar, and none of Shaun's tears were extracted in the making of this process. She's totally fine, I promise.
Introducing Quxpay, or simply the Pay app.
Where you can pay like it's nobody's business.
Because it isn't. It's what everyone's been clamoring for. It's finally here.
Secure every payment. Your data stays private. QUX will never sell your data for profit, period. Pay friends, family, contacts instantly. No hidden fees. No limits. Spend on the move.
With this patented technology, you can use debit, credit, bank transfers, cash cards, and even crypto completely offline.
Amounts transferred through the Pay app reach their destination instantly. Transfers in a flash. As quick as sending a text. No more waiting around like crypto. Are you ready for the future of payments? The state of the art for money is finally here.
Data privacy and security protocols trusted by militaries and banks worldwide. Quxpay, the Pay app.
Available as an app and point of sale system, personal and corporate accounts available. Go to QUXPay.com and start using the Pay app today.
All right, back, you guys. All right, we're going to keep this train rolling. We're going to roll right into Mr. Christopher Vaos. He is a seasoned cannabis industry professional with over 15 years experience in commercial cultivation. He has led large-scale indoor, greenhouse, and outdoor operations across various U.S. markets, specializing in cultivation optimization, team leadership, and cost-efficient scaling. With a background in engineering and a data-driven, science-based approach, Christopher consistently delivers strong results in plant healthy productivity and operational efficiency. Look at that. And look at that efficiency in your background. It isn't none other than Mr. Chris Vaos.
Thank you, Jason. Today's article is about some of my favorite cannabis duo here, Cheech and Chong. Their $100 million cannabis empire reveals California's problem. The comedy duo has 8 stores in Texas and none in California. The article shows a picture of them opening up a weed shop in Portland, Maine. California helped catapult Cheech and Chong into the stratosphere of marijuana celebrities. Their 1978 movie, Up in Smoke, chronicled the comedy duo's hijinks across Los Angeles and invented the entire genre of stoner comedy. But when it comes to cashing in on legal cannabis, the comedy duo has found a winning formula by looking to states like Texas instead of California. Tommy Chong and Cheech Marin jumped into the cannabis industry in 2020 by selling pre-rolled joints and smokable flower, initially focusing on selling their branded marijuana products at dispensaries across California. But by 2023, they had shifted away their focus to the hemp market, which is federally legal, where they're now seeing runaway success. Chong and Marin's 2 cannabis companies are on track to make $100 million in revenue this year, up from $50 million last year, with the majority of that money coming from hemp sales, according to a profile in Forbes this week. Hemp is illegal to sell in California, meaning the state's two most famous stoners are having booming success by avoiding the state. The comedy duo has a deal to sell its hemp drinks at 2,000 Circle K convenience stores across the country, and it already has 6 hemp dispensaries in Texas alone, according to Forbes. Hemp and marijuana products are considered cannabis products, but in 2018, Congress carved out hemp as a distinct legal category. I don't have to tell you guys, you all know the background in hemp right now. This definition allowed any product sourced from cannabis plants with less than 0.3% Delta-9 to be considered hemp and federally legal. Let's go on past that. Federal legality has made hemp a much more attractive and profitable industry compared with marijuana. State legal marijuana companies face heavy taxes, expensive regulations, and no access to interstate commerce because of federal prohibition. But hemp companies face almost no regulations and very low taxes, and they can ship their products across state lines and directly to consumers. Thanks to this disparity, companies like Chong and Marin's have been moving to hemp and away from California's market for years as thousands of marijuana businesses go under. Cheech and Chong appeared to have mostly pulled out of the state. According to a recent Weed Maps search, their products were available in a few stores in LA and San Diego, but were entirely absent from San Francisco, San Jose, and Sacramento. The comedy duo is still investing in the marijuana market, just not much in California. It has 9 branded marijuana dispensaries in Maine, Massachusetts, and New Mexico, and selling products in 1,500 marijuana dispensaries across the country, bringing in $34 million in revenue this year, according to Forbes. Chong and Marin have also expanded to other mind-altering drugs like kratom, magic mushrooms, and apparently 7-OH, a potent opioid that the U.S. Food and Drug Administration recently warned can cause serious harm and should be avoided. I don't even know anything about that one. They're selling most of these products directly to consumers at their online store. Forbes did not mention how much money these products are bringing in. So, this is just really just an example of how failed California's program is, and a lot of the state licensed programs. They're just overtaxed, overregulated, and there's a lot of fly-by-nighters, a lot of people that jumped in on this industry just to make money. Obviously, Cheech and Chong have been in this from the beginning, and I can't think of anyone more deserving. $100 million is a crazy amount for hemp or any, I don't know, anybody. I got a lot of friends in the industry, especially in California. And I don't know anybody making real money like that in on the licensed adult use side. They're all just trying to tread water and survive. So this is just a sign of the times right now, and maybe puts the spotlight on just how broken these regulated systems really are. What do you guys think?
Absolutely broken. It's hard to watch. California's legal cannabis industry is so fucked up. It's hard to even find the words. And I applaud Cheech and Tommy for looking for, and Jason's like the word loopholes, but there are loopholes in there.
No, it's not.
Okay?
No way.
The
Loopholes are in your tennis shoes,
produces
Dale.
certain molecules, okay? And the government decided we're going to limit one of those, and all the other ones, it's like, well, we didn't list it, so okay, we can sell them. And what my frustration is that I've had discussions with politicians who make the rules, and you try to educate them, and you can tell by the look on their face that they're not really paying attention. But when you look at what they do, it's clear they don't give a shit. They really don't give a shit about trying to get the legal market up and running. And what Cheech and Tom have done is said, we sat down and thought about this. We're not being deliberately ignorant here. We see how we can make money, and we see where we're not making money. And so we're not going to go to California because guess what? You just struggle to make money here. And the reason you do is because it's overtaxed, overregulated, it's overprohibited. I mean, it is just disgusting, but that's the deal we got here in California. And I think it was Tommy went to prison for selling pipes in Pennsylvania where they weren't supposed to be.
I think it was Minnesota.
A long time ago.
I think it was Minnesota.
On the internet.
Minnesota, Dale.
Wherever it was.
Yeah.
He wasn't supposed to send it there. Okay, well, now everything he's shipping, I'm sure his attorneys have said, this is legal. You can ship it. Okay. Or it's not illegal. Let's put it that way.
Well,
it's not illegal. They do it.
There is one really important point that I think people need to understand, as a history lesson in all of this, Dale, and all of this stuff with Cheech and Chong. And Steve Blessingham relates to it in the chat. He says, don't forget, Cheech and Chong smoked Labrador and enjoyed it. So basically, they will smoke anything.
Yeah.
Well, I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't do that because this was a very smart business strategy. They were here, hosting outlaw parties and partnering with the local Texas community years ago, and they saw the writing on the wall. They made a smart decision. So, I understand we can knock them for being.
Well, hold on. Their smart decision, Shaun, was getting out of the regulated cannabis market and getting into the hemp market, which is the legal open market. That was the smart decision. That was the smart decision. Yeah.
When I saw this headline, kind of giggled, although not at California's suffering, but for years, people tried to tell everyone to look ahead, and it was dismissed. Cheech and Chong happens to be one of the operators who didn't dismiss that advice, and they're reaping the benefits. They have a large operation in New Mexico. They're poised for Texas. They're set up. They're in almost every smoke shop shelf. It's a recognized brand. They were smart for what they needed to do. And if you're looking at your money and you're looking at future investments, I don't know, why stay committed to something that's killing you? They saw it, and they saw it years ago. This isn't them hopping in now. They were behind it for a while, even hosting events, during South by Southwest with, we have other groups that we'd like to see do advocacy work, but with the Last Prisoner Project and others. So they were here. They saw it. They got it. They're plugged in. They even have employees who are part of the Texas Cannabis Collective. When you plug into your community, instead of just focusing on yourself and getting tunnel vision, you can do things like avoid complete market catastrophes and expand into other territories. I know that's maybe callous because not everyone can afford it, but there's so many operators who moved to Texas specifically to cut their operating costs, and they are doing well with hemp. And hemp is regulated. Some states just forgot an age gate, but it is tested. It has COAs. It's just THCA.
The celebrity endorsed brands have not worked in any market, especially California. We saw Willie Nelson's brand crash and burn. Snoop Dogg, who's always been cannabis guy #1, his products don't sell any more than non-celebrity endorsed products. So I don't think it's that reason that they avoided California. It's just it's purely a business move. And they've been invested socially in cannabis for a long time, but why go to California where you're selling ice to an Eskimo, where you can go to Texas and take advantage of a loophole, and there's hungry people waiting for really any kind of cannabis? I think hemp is just the current it's the current loophole. This industry's been built on loopholes since the beginning. We all got our med cards in California 20 years ago.
That's not a loophole. Stop it.
I wouldn't call it that because it might save everyone's life. Because if they reschedule and you don't have hemp, y'all are in a world of trouble.
I don't want to make it an individualistic problem. I think it's everyone's personal right to decide if they're medicating or meditating, right?
I'm talking about business. I'm talking about your business life. I'm talking about marijuana operators in California. If they federally come up with rules for hemp, it might save you from rescheduling. I wouldn't call it a loophole. I'd call it a lifeline.
For right now.
Oh, I like that.
It could morph and change again in 6 to 12 months. And then we all, as a business, have to adapt to whatever the next framework is. It's just, maybe loophole is not the right word, but it's the current framework that's given to us that we have to mold ourselves into as a business in order to sell our products the way we want to sell our products. With the,
I think we should just call it conformity.
So we always have rules to the game that we have to play, even if those rules are constantly changing. And right now, those rules are hemp.
We should just call it conformity, Chris, instead of a loophole. Conformity.
There you go.
Yeah. because it's not a loophole. It's total BS.
I got an attorney next to me. He's shaking his head no for loophole.
He does that all the time when I say the truth. It's you know what I mean. It's I understand. I amaze people and I keep them in disbelief, and so sometimes it just takes Dale a little while to come around the corner. You know what I mean, and catch up with it all.
And I like national disgrace puts it well. For I understand in legal marijuana states, y'all have what you have, but they put it well in the comments. They say this is how the legacy found a way to create a legal pathway. That's why we're so hard on about this is not a loophole. This is the way, young Mandalorians.
It is. So, it is the way. It is the truth. It's the light. It's the way to get your greens up. And
it's the way right now. It wasn't the way a couple years ago. It may not be again in the future. The way is that this is a plant and we grow it and we want to sell it. Those are the fundamental truths. Everything else is just bureaucratic bullshit that we have to play along with, right? So it was better when I could just barter it. I let me trade my weed for elk meat or whatever, right? That was a great time. But these are just the rules that we're given, and as business people, we have to survive in this system. And some of us choose to play by the rules, some of us bend them a little bit, and some of us outright break them. But that's the way the system is.
Fair enough. And on that, we have to roll into our final commercial, and we are going to be right back.
Oh man, your knees still bothering you, man?
Yeah, I left one, And I'll tell you what, I've been using this new CBD cream, and it works like a miracle.
CBDs? I done heard about them CBDs. I was out there on them Twitters the other day, and I heard they get you high as a kite.
Well, not this stuff. This stuff is tested. Every batch, all the way through, pharmaceutical grade, and in a GMP certified facility. So you're not going to have to worry about flying high.
GMP certified? I might have to try some of this out. Where will I even find this?
You go directly to aimhighhemp.com and they will ship it to your door right away. Test it. It's not a name, it's a promise.
Yes.
Keep asking the answer.
And
fuck no.
Exactly, Dale. And we are back, and we are going to roll right into Miss Shaun Salvaje. She's a mom. She's a moderator or a mediator. And she's also a U.S. veteran. And apparently, she identifies herself as a moderate because nowadays people can identify however they choose, like apparently for whatever reason. But then it is none other than Miss Shaun Salvaje.
Oh, Jason wants me to be a leftist so bad.
Just don't dye your hair because it makes people's brains go crazy.
What?
Yeah,
No.
yeah.
I'm a mom. I'm a moderate. I'm interested in everybody solving problems and moving on. Speaking of which, moving on, this article comes from the Houston Chronicle, and we are not moving. We are not moving on just yet. Or are we? The proposed THC ban in Texas has stalled. Now, as I read this, I guarantee you something's going to happen at the legislature. We'll have a last-minute meeting called to order. But just keep your eyes on the ledge. But for now, we have been on a little bit of a break. Governor Abbott vetoed an earlier attempt to ban all THC products. Where do we stand today? A plan to ban hemp-derived THC products and THCA hemp in Texas has stalled in the legislature as Governor Greg Abbott and Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick remain at an impasse over the issue, although tempering their exchanges given their partnership on redistricting. While the Texas Senate has passed a bill to ban all THC products again, and they sent it to the House, that was expected, legislation hasn't moved since. It's stalled out. Nothing on HB 36, nothing on SB 6, HB 6, or any of these other lettered and numbered bills, with lawmakers trying to wrap up the current special session by Labor Day. This puts legislation at long odds of clearing in time. Patrick, who runs the Texas Senate, is advocating still for a full ban on all THC products, insisting they're dangerous and cannot be regulated. But Abbott vetoed Patrick's idea just 2 months ago and says he wants a more regulated approach. This regulated market would be very comprehensive, Abbott said, and a little bird told me, sorry, I had a little thing in my throat. A little bird told me that he had a meeting with the Texas Hemp Business Council, Governor Abbott, just the other day. So things are at an impasse, but are they really? We'll find out. Abbott would like to see the Texas hemp market regulated at the farming base level, the wholesale level, and the distributor and retail level. But Patrick made sure that he doesn't, he's communicated very much so that he's against this idea. In an interview about 2 weeks ago on the Mark Davis show on 6 a.m. He's on AM radio, friends, in Dallas. That probably a very big audience. Why the governor, that was petty, but I can't help myself. Why the governor wants to create this monstrosity of a program for hundreds of millions of dollars. It wouldn't cost them anything. We could pay for this shit ourselves. That we cannot control. We're asking for regulation. What are you talking about? You wouldn't control it. It would be regulated by the testimony from the police who have testified with contaminated evidence. But okay, over and over again is beyond me. I also am confused, Lieutenant Governor. So Lieutenant Governor Patrick said he and Abbott have mostly been on the same page on big issues, but this is a big divide, probably the biggest one they've ever disagreed on, particularly openly. We are seeing them continue to have differing opinions while Republicans are introducing national legislation to regulate hemp, which hopefully we'll cover tomorrow. But I would definitely dig into that headline. I've said it repeatedly throughout this session, at least locally. I do believe what Texas does will move the needle with the Trump administration, or at least get them seriously thinking. A lot of other conservative states tend to follow our lead, and I'm hoping that Texas will lean into its small business and free market roots. Based on the article we just read, there's a lot of money to be made here. So we'll see what happens. For everybody who's out there waiting on pins and needles for their time to testify, continue to check the calendars, continue to stay up on it. One thing that they've been doing lately is just not having hearings. So they're not always taking public testimony. They've been making a few. They can do that. They can do that. It's within the rules where they can actually just not have hearings and continue to move laws. They suspend the rules. That's what it's called, the formal process. But I don't think that they'll do that in this case, although there is some concern. Just stay on top of your legislative calendars. Go to the Texas, just Google it, Texas Leg calendar. You'll be able to find when your committee hearings are. Look for the public health hearing or the state affairs. But I think we'll get HB 6 heard first. HB 36 may not be heard, but then again, I could be wrong. Things are looking up with Governor Abbott having met with the Texas Hemp Business Council earlier this week. I'll bring you more details on that through IG as soon as I get them.
Well, I'll tell you what, Shaun. Shout out to Governor Greg Abbott. Okay, because he's the only one that is keeping hemp alive in Texas right now, with all of these prohibitionists trying to stop the free market. And so he definitely deserves a lot of credit and a lot of props, because he is like the sole protector of the plant right now in the great state of Texas.
At least on the I wouldn't go that far on the government side, because there's other advocates definitely fighting. But I actually think big shout out to the Texas.
Yeah, but those advocates don't have a decision. Those advocates are advocating. Governor Abbott is the one that holds the decision, and he's the one that ultimately has the trump card in all of this, whether or not, however way you want to look at it. And he is on the side of that they need to have sensible regulation and not ban it. And so shout out to Governor Abbott for not wanting to ban the plant and wanting to make some sensible regulations and ensuring that the legislature comes up with some things that make sense when they want to just keep on trying to just jam down this prohibitionist rhetoric down everybody's throat in unproductive ways.
Yeah, and the point was, I wasn't making yay to all of the people in the Senate and House chambers that are trying to pass legislation, although that is something you're absolutely right. Governor Abbott is the one who is literally holding the veto card. And it has been tremendous to have his to have his support. But I'm to shout out, it's the Texas cannabis community that has been showing up. It's voters who are beginning to actually express their voice. So it's really the people of Texas and the cannabis community here that are putting in the work to make sure that they got Governor Abbott's attention and that we were taken seriously. So continue to do that, y'all, into the fall. If we don't get resolution by Labor Day, if they're really serious about wanting to put pause on everything by Labor Day, I would imagine that they might call a later special session. We've done that before. We had one off season last year on hemp beverages. So that might happen. Just stay on top of your shit right now. And if you're a medical operator, definitely pay attention because they're going to be changing the rules for your supplemental or new license application. They did drop some of those. Y'all do your own research because I do have a client.
This is the thing too, and I'm going to encourage every hemp company in the great state of Texas, or anyone that's operating in the great state of Texas, make sure that you make a contribution to Governor Abbott's re-election campaign, and make sure that we keep strong patriots like this in office.
There's an opportunity here for bipartisanship in this industry. When you talk to people that understand both sides, we know what needs to be done. Reasonable regulations, lower these taxes, green light these businesses, whether it's hemp or cannabis, it really doesn't matter. This is a way to gin up the economy in the United States. Problem is, we're in the middle of these political pissing matches right now, every direction you look. And you really have to put on your party hat when you go in to talk about legislation, which ruins bipartisanship. And I'm not real hopeful that over the next 2 years, we're going to find a way to come together on much of anything. It's bad, and it's just getting worse. It's not good for any of us, but that doesn't mean we can stop it.
That's why I got a green shirt on. I'm not blue or red. I'm on the green team.
You're on the green team.
It's interesting, though, that Texas may begin to actually put regulations in place, kind of from this backdoor way in from hemp to adult use, where almost every other state went from medical to adult use in kind of this like stacked kind of way. Texas might be the first state to actually do it that way, and it kind of admits that, like, well, hemp is THC. THC is hemp, and
it's all the same plant, bro. It's all the same thing.
I mean, we all know it's the same thing, but from a regulatory perspective, to have that enter the conversation from that direction is unique. There's no other state that I know of that went about it that way.
I love that you say that, because I think that is the solution that we need, and that's what I've largely been arguing for. I think this process has allowed us to capture and help our legacy market because they help build it. Our legacy market will come with us on hemp, but they won't if you go adult use marijuana, especially because of federal prohibitions. Everything with the lobbying from teacup, the current teacup participants, because guys, there's going to be new teacup applicants and participants who are not Texas original, and they did not lobby against you. So be on the lookout for those guys. But I think that there's a way to do this successfully with hemp, where we're promoting small businesses, and large businesses can also get a cut. And let's not forget, mom and pops can clear, 3 to 5 million and still be mom and pops. Let's not be unreasonable here. But at the same time, we can develop medical processes and applications that far leap where we've been. We've got Baylor, we've got Rice, we've got UT. We have a lot of good science down here. We can do it better. And that's why every meeting I've taken, I've brought this document explaining how if they ban this, that they'll lose their regulated medical market to 3 different factors. And it includes bad actors in the illicit market, the trap actors who want to come over their legacy, and just all of the out-of-state flood in from mail. Like, there's a smart way to do this. We can do it. And then we can give that model to the whole nation. Hopefully, we'll see. I'm trying, y'all. I know it's crazy, but you got to be crazy when you're in the middle of it, and then we'll see what happens on the back end, right?
I'm pretty skeptical.
And Dr. Mark,
working so far, though, Dale, it's working. Like, it's actually happening. We're having conversations.
Where?
At least we're making good progress where we're having conversations about
Dale. Sometimes you just have to let dreamers live in their dream world, Dale. Okay, it's just some people don't want to wake up.
I operate in a world where people still get arrested, their businesses get thrown into the bus, and you go, okay, well, it's working. Well, okay, well, that seems like we've gotten someplace. You're still in the process of making it work. That's where we are right now, because no one has figured this out. There's no place you can go and say, it is working as we want it to here. No place. Okay. And
I mean,
these discussions are wrapped up in now national politics where they're fighting over just the dumbest stuff right now. Okay. And it gets wrapped up because people's emotional truths take over, and you just can't talk to people logically when they're in their emotional truth. And that's the bipartisan place we're not at right now, because everybody's got their side. Majority of people in the middle. Okay? And they're watching the nuts on both sides driving the train off the cliff, and we're going, hey, you guys got to stop. Well, they're not stopping. Okay. And so that's why I'm saying I'm skeptical, because I've been around for a minute and I've seen the pendulum swing, and it's swinging right now in a way. We're just going to fight for a while.
Well,
I think that's why you got to show them like it's a matter of their own self-interest. And I think when you do that, when you appeal to self-interest, because right now they're deeply invested in making sure this medical market doesn't collapse. And it will, if they pass a ban, it will cannibalize, it will fall apart just like California. So there's a matter of, yes, there's an emotionality to it, but sometimes we just need to find the right value proposition. And I don't mean it's working as in we have the right.
That's called the quid pro quo, Shaun.
I mean, what I mean here is that it's working because we're having a very different conversation than what historically has been had. And that is worth acknowledging and continuing to push for.
And Dr. Mark.
Wouldn't it be easier to just take the more traditional approach? Because honestly, the same things that we've appealed to in every single market that has passed meaningful regulation, whether it works or whether we've got something we're working with, has used the same points. Why? Because politicians are the same. They are motivated by the same thing. Reinventing the wheel is cool and all, but if it's just swinging back and forth and it's not actually, hitting home and getting where it needs to be, sometimes it's worth saying, okay, you know what? I tried it my way. What'd you say again?
Blow it up.
Yep. And Dr. Mark in the chat, he says Kentucky did hemp before medical cannabis, before Texas did, and he's right about that. They have the cornbread mafia, and they're, what I'm saying, that they've been doing this. Kentucky has been the real leader and real, as far as in the hemp space, and so we do want to give Kentucky their props. But I have one more final story for you guys, and this is a proper gaslighting to end a hump day today, you guys.
Oh, good.
Yeah. Because there was a study, you guys. There was a big study, and apparently cannabis users who are self-medicating run a higher risk of paranoia, study finds. How imagine that? They say those who take the drug because of pain, anxiety, or depression found to be more likely to develop paranoia than adult use smokers. People who start smoking cannabis to alleviate pain, anxiety, or depression are at a higher risk of developing paranoia than those who use the drug for adult use purposes, a study found. I think that's total bullshit, but whatever. The research analyzed answers from 3,389 former and current cannabis users aged over 18 who had no clinical history of psychosis and had taken part in the Cannabis and Me survey. Interesting. Published in BMJ Mental Health and led by academics at King's College of London, the research found that those who started using cannabis to self-medicate for a condition such as pain, anxiety, or depression, and if they were experiencing minor psychotic symptoms, had a higher paranoia scores. Well, of course, because they just all of a sudden threw in that minor psychotic symptoms. These people are already prone to that. stupid. While those with the lowest scores use cannabis for fun or because they were curious, and they say the survey also found that the average respondent consumed 206 units a week of THC, the active ingredient in cannabis, the equivalent between 10 and 17 joints. But people who use cannabis for anxiety, I don't understand when they quantify a joint, like how big is a joint? Because you could have like a half gram joint, you could have a full gram joint, you could have a gram and a half joint. I don't understand how they do that, but whatever. But people who use cannabis for anxiety or depression reported consuming 248 and 254.7 units respectively. Only people with very rare forms of epilepsy and adults with nausea caused by chemotherapy and some people with multiple sclerosis are able to get a NHS prescription for medical cannabis in England. And in a quote, they say, "I think lots of people who now know that cannabis can cause psychosis. They say these people are not like me." That's not true, said Robin Mary, a professor of psychiatric research at King's College of London. In a quote, they say, "What can we show in this study is the effect of cannabis is a bit like the effect of alcohol or the effect of food. That is a dimension. So the more you take, the more problems you get into. Contrary to what it says on the internet, cannabis is not medicinal. We now have 40 private clinics up and down the UK dishing out cannabis supposedly as a treatment, and the things that they are giving it for are pain, anxiety, and depression predominantly. And these are the things that we find are related to people getting into trouble and becoming more paranoid." Dr. Emily Finch, the chair of the Royal College of Psychiatrics Addiction Facilities, she said, "These important findings reinforce previous work which suggests that cannabis can have significant adverse effects on users' mental health. Society must be more aware of the substantial evidence on cannabis harms and correct the widespread misapprehension that cannabis is not an addictive substance. Cannabis is the most widely used illicit substance in the UK, and around a third of people who use cannabis develop a problem with the drug at some point during their lives. This is similar to the proportion of people who will develop a problem with alcohol. The use of both natural and synthetic cannabinoids over the long term risks addiction and severe co-occurring mental illness harms. And daily cannabis use is associated with depression, anxiety, and reduced motivation. Daily users of high-potency cannabis are nearly 5 times more likely to develop a psychotic disorder than people who have never used cannabis, with adolescents at particular risk. As a priority, the UK government must provide substance use and mental health services with the training, staff, and funding they need to support people with co-occurring substance use and mental illness. This must also include a focus on providing early treatment to the increasing number of children and young people struggling with substance misuse if we are to reduce long-term harms." A separate study published by the journal Psychological Medicine analyzed the same survey and found 52% of cannabis users had experienced some kind of childhood trauma, and that those who had experienced physical and emotional abuse and paranoia scores around 35 to 40% or higher, they said. Respondents who were reported experiencing sexual abuse as a child consume more THC on average, and followed by those who had experienced physical and emotional abuse, you guys. Well, that was a proper gaslighting to end the show, and I just may have to take a sip of tea after that. What do y'all have to say about this?
I mean, I just want to say that fucking, y'all got to quit encouraging Jason to do them damn voices, because that reading style just gave me a psychiatric disorder. And I think it's like major depressive and anxiety, Jason. Thank you so much.
He started sounding like Hartman there
She's
for a minute.
British. She sounded Southern at first. She's British.
Mm-hmm.
Then she sounded like she was from Kentucky. It was a whole lot, and she speaks way too slowly.
Well, you know what? Haters are going to hate, and that's what haters do. And I see 3 of them up there. Look at you.
What do we think about them saying?
Mm-hmm.
I was laughing But I think the last line is the best part, is that they said that those who had experienced childhood trauma, extended or experienced physical and emotional abuse had paranoia scores 35 to 45% higher. No shit, Sherlock. Like, you're telling me that PTSD might make you a little hyper vigilant?
Cannabis isn't the symptom; it's the treatment. Is what they're saying.
Exactly. It's what?
I told you it was a proper gaslighting, you
In
guys.
the category of mental masturbation. Okay, if you pay somebody or give them the power to go out and write some report and make themselves think they're academically important, they're going to produce shit like this. Now, if you put it out into the academic world and they start pointing out that your cohort is not controlled, you've got all sorts of internal biases in the report, and in the final analysis, it should be wadded up and used to wipe your ass with. Okay, that's where this needs to go. Because my brother-in-law was a college professor, and if you gave him money to go study something, he would study it and come up with a whole goddamn new vernacular for it. Okay? That's what they do. Okay? But if you academically vet this and put it in front of psychiatrists, addiction specialists, people in the industry, psychologists, and let them look at it, they're going to do like I did. Wind it up, take it to the outhouse, and wipe your ass with it, because that's about all this report is worth.
Well, a lot of this research also comes down to statistical analysis. It's not real research. So it's how do you massage those numbers? So this sample group of people that develop psychosis, were they also, taking MDMA every weekend? Were they taking Zoloft? Were they on SSRIs? For example, it mentioned right at the end, a little footnote. Oh, by the way, a bunch of these people had childhood trauma and were abused. And, so how many of these people are outright alcoholics and just smoke weed when they're hungover? Like you don't know. And so you can massage those numbers to tell any kind of narrative just through statistical analysis.
Chris, to your point at the beginning of the story, they said that a number of these people already had psychosis disorders in the first place, and that's what my whole thing has always been, is that if you're going to use cannabis and you already have a psychotic disorder, it's only going to enhance that. It's not going to necessarily, steer you from it. So basically, this is like testing weed with law enforcement, where you're always going to get a false positive because they're going to decarb it in the testing process. It's a skewed method.
Well, they don't eliminate the biases.
Yeah,
you're going to use a cohort of people in a study. You've got to be careful to only find the people you want to study. You don't tell them what they're getting. Okay, you keep it double blinded so that your results can be academically vetted. These are let's have a couple glasses of wine and tell stories. That's where this shit goes. Okay. And I've had this out. I think I've talked before. I've had this out with psychiatrists who treated kids with, cannabis abuse disorder because the courts forced their parents to take them there. And the statistics are that the rate of these dissociative diseases amongst the population has not changed since they started collecting statistics in the 1950s. They remain the same. Use of cannabis has gone through the roof. Okay, and if you're going to try to go beyond that, you're grasping at straws. These are things we should go study, okay, and really academically study it, but they won't do it. They pull one of these out, sensationalize it, get a lot of memes and clicks, whatever the fuck they do. People think it means something. It reinforces those prohibitionists living in their bubble. Oh, this has got to be bad. Look what it causes. Don't cause shit. They found the same thing in the 1890s in India. The British studied their Indian Hemp Commission. They found people in insane asylums because they were fucking psychotic. They've been eating hash. Well, why did hash cause it? Because, whether we like to admit it or not, some people are born with a propensity to have psychotic disorders as they grow up. You can traumatize them into it. This is just a place to go study and peel off and do actual studies, not statistical analysis, because there's lies, there's damnable lies, and there's statistics.
You could apply this to anything. 52% of people that eat hamburgers end up with psychosis or whatever, right? They should have just not had the French fries. So, you know, you can make this sound any which way. They're just going after cannabis.
Oh, and then you go from 1 to 2, and we got a 100% increase. You sit down and shut the fuck up.
Yep.
No, stop being hysterical. Let's do it right.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to lose when you do it right, so that's why they don't want to do it right. Because we know when we study it, you can sit down with a clear, objective, scientific mind and say, we should not be treating this like it's fucking fentanyl or heroin. Just stop it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the UK has had a lot of the same struggles as Texas, actually, because they kind of had a failed medical program that was very limited. There's a high percentage of the population is pro-cannabis. And, you know, for a while there, they had a lot of hemp products kind of leaking in. They didn't know how to regulate it. Obviously, it's a very different political landscape than Texas, but you have this same kind of like pushback from the prohibitionists going on, where, you know, you see countries like Germany that are furthering things along. And so you've always going to have these naysayers and people that probably more realistically, politically didn't align themselves in a position to make money off the legalization. So they're going to hate on it as much as possible.
Yep. Fair.
Well, and they're talking about private clinics. So the other thing is that they kind of make this correlation between 1/3 of people will have an issue with this, as do also have an issue with alcohol. Makes me think then we have a different problem altogether. Like we have a 1/3 population behavioral health issue and perhaps some genetic correlations. But I'm not going to jump straight to genetic correlations. I think we like to default to that too quickly when we find adverse human behavior, especially like Dale says, when you're in the legal system. Now all of a sudden every choice you ever made is because of a condition that you have. So not invalidating those patients who are truly patients, but and they're also not considering if talk therapy is also being used in conjunction with cannabis consumption on these medical sides. Like there's so much more we could do. It's just this is like the headline and not the actual, like we could dive so much deeper, develop better medical programs, and then cut the bullshit with all of the gaslighting.
Shaun,
especially because they say, I'm sorry, because she includes synthetic in it. Now we don't know if she's talking about actual hemp or synthetic whatever, or if she's talking about Spice K2 and those, and because they will do that where they'll say synthetic cannabinoids and they are talking about that crazy shit from way back, just saying that that's what today's weed is. So we have to
That's a fair point. I think that's a very fair point, Shaun, on that. But at the same time, there's another fair point, because scientists a number of years ago, about 8 years ago, they did find that stupidity is actually a gene. And so that is 100% true. And on that, thank you all for joining us and getting high at 9 with us every Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific and high at noon on the East Coast. And big shout out to our audience and supporters for tuning in daily and listening to the insanity that is the developing cannabis industry. Huge thank you to Catalyst Cannabis for helping us keep the lights on over here, and thank you to our correspondents for being absolutely amazing. And thank you to Cannabis Sativa L for giving us a reason to do this every day, and Cloud Media partners Elias and Kai are somewhere in the metaverse. And thank you all for tuning in and getting high at 9 with us. We are America's #1 daily cannabis news show. And we are off, you guys.